I got 3 new clients for my AI and automation agency, and in this video I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. From finding qualified leads to setting up a cold email campaign with optimized email copy, and finally all the results that I got. So by the end of this video, you know exactly what you need to do in order for you to get your first paying client with AI and automation. So without further ado, let's get started. Now the first thing that we need to do is to figure out these two things. What niche are we specifically going to target, and second, what our offer is going to be. Now for the niche, are we going to target coaches or consultants? Are we going to target lawyers? Are we going to target medical clinic owners or any other niche? These are just some examples that I written over here. And once we figure out our niche, then we need to look inside the specific offer that we're going to make to these people. And we need to make sure that our offer actually provides real value to them by either making them more money, saving them money, or saving them time, which indeed makes them more money. So is our offer going to be automatic message follow-up systems? Is it going to be voice agents? Is it going to be some sort of lead generation automation? What is it going to be exactly? Now, what I would strongly advise you to do is to simply pick a niche and an offer that you have experience in. So if you, for example, have worked in the accounting industry and you know the pain points of that industry very well, then obviously your niche should be accountants, and then you should create your offer based on the problems that accountants face in the everyday life and that you can solve it with AI and automation. And since you understand that niche very well, you will have a massive advantage compared to all the other people that don't. But you might actually not have any experience in any niche. So what should you do in that case? Well, what I would advise you to do is to go over to ChatGPT and ask it, I have an AI and automation agency and I want to pick a niche and an offer that I can give to my potential clients in order for them to pay me money to build them AI automations. And then you have to ask ChatGPT which are the best niches and offers that I can choose from. Make sure they're able to make me the most amount of money possible, since that's what we're actually optimizing for. And then once you write this question, simply come over here and send this over to ChatGPT. And what it's going to do is it's basically going to analyze all the potential niches and offers and give you the best ones that are able to make you the most amount of money. And as you can see, it tells us that the first one is real estate agents, and it gives us the specific offers that we can offer to these people, which is AI lead qualification and follow-up systems, AI appointment setter for real estate teams, etc., etc. And it also tells us the rough pricing of these systems, as you can see over here. And then it gives us another one, which is legal services, and a third one and a fourth one, etc. I think you get the point. Now ChatGPT actually gave us 7 of these niches. To shrink down the list, what I'm going to do is I will come over here and tell it, give me the top 2 that are the most beginner friendly and can make me the most amount of money possible. And then simply come over here and send over this message. And boom, as you can see, it returns us 2 niches. The first one is real estate agents, and the second one is home service companies. And it also gives us the offers that we can give to these people, which for real estate, for example, is an AI lead response system and appointment center. And the second offer is an AI follow-up nurturing engine, which is very easy to upsell, whilst giving us a rough pricing estimate, which is pretty sweet, and it does the second thing for home service companies. Now for this video, since I personally know very well the coaches / consultants niche, I'm actually going to choose that one, since that's literally what I do for a living. And if you're interested in that, you can find a link to my Skool community where I help people land the first high-paying AI and automation customer in 90 days, or I give them all of their money back guaranteed. And then for the offer that I'm going to go with is some sort of lead qualification system, since that is a system that solves an actual pain point that a lot of coaches and consultants have, because they have to manually go and qualify leads themselves. If we can automate that process with AI, this is going to save them so much time, which they can then focus on more high leverage activities. And this is also a very good niche and offer for beginners as well, since you can charge a lot for the systems, because coaches and consultants usually sell high ticket, which is from $1,000 and up, which means that they have money to spend on a service like yours. Because the biggest mistake that a lot of people do is that they try to sell to people that don't have money. And you will find that if you try to sell to these people, they're basically going to arm wrestle you for every last dollar. Or if you sell to people that do have money, like coaches and consultants usually do, since they sell high ticket services, they will have less requirements for you and they're going to be more willing to pay you if you can actually provide them value. So that's why I do think this is a very good niche for everyone in this video to follow, but obviously you can pick a different niche and offer, that's completely up to you. And now that we have our niche and an offer nailed down, what we now need to do is to go and find some qualified leads. Now the way that most people used to find leads in the past is by using a lead database like Apollo.io, which has basically scraped LinkedIn, then they inputted some filters over here, they found exactly the target avatar they were going for, and then they used Apify, specifically a scraper that was called Apollo.io, in order for them to scrape these leads. But the problem with this method is that if I come over here and search for Apollo.io, you will see that I basically get no results. And that is because these Apify actors, as they are called, don't actually exist anymore in Apify, since Apollo actually changed their API. So the scrapers were basically worthless since they weren't able to actually scrape those leads from Apollo.io. And exporting the leads directly from Apollo makes no sense since they're actually super expensive and you end up paying more than $10 for just 1,000 leads, which just doesn't make any sense. So I have found a brand new way that we can scrape Apollo leads for just $2.5 per 1,000 leads, which is the best way on the market, at least at the time of this recording, which is by using Ample Leads, which is a platform that allows you to scrape different Apollo URLs, just like you were able to do with Apify. But the only difference is that this platform actually works, at least right now. So to get those leads, the first thing that we have to do is to go over, obviously, to Apollo.io, which I will leave a link for in the description below. And then we need to come over here in the search bar and search for the niche that we're going to target, which in our case is going to be consultants. So make sure you come over here and search for consultants, or the specific niche that you are personally targeting, and then click on enter. And as you can see, this is going to filter through all the leads and give us only a list of consultants. But as you can see over here, we have a list of 290,000 leads, which is first of all way too many, and these leads are not qualified because we haven't yet added in some filters. So let's go do that. And the first filter that I would advise you to add is to come over here in the email status and select that you only want verified emails. And once you select that, you can simply come close this off, and it's time we go and also add in a job title filter. And what I would specifically advise you to do is to come over here and add in all the job titles that have a higher position in the company. So managers, project managers, directors, account managers, presidents, general managers, supervisors, basically positions in the company that have decision-making power and they can actually agree to the system that you're going to pitch them. Because if you send an email to a person lower up in the company, for example, a simple employee, they just don't have that power, and they will either need to forward this over to the supervisor, which is the person that you should have targeted from the start, or they're just gonna simply ignore it since they just don't have that power inside the company. That's why you should only target positions that are higher up, which generally tend to be managers, CEO, supervisors, etc. So now that we also filled in the job titles, what I will also advise you to do is to come over here and filter for location. And then come over here in the locations, and I would honestly advise you to only select United States. Since the US market is by far the best one in the world and has the people that have the most amount of money to spend. Because you will find if you target some non-Western countries specifically, so for example if you go and target Turkey or you target even Greece, where I'm from, these people just don't have the necessary amount of money to spend, which means that they're going to wrestle you for every dollar, just as I told you before, and it's honestly going to be a massive pain in the ass selling to them. That's why I would personally advise you to only target US, but you can also target all Western countries, including UK, Sweden, Germany, etc, etc. Basically first world Western countries, since these are the countries that have the biggest businesses with the most amount of money to spend. So now we can simply come over here and close off this filter as well. And the last filter that I would advise you to use is the employee size. And I will actually advise you to select all the companies that have 1 all the way up to companies that have 200 employees. Since these are the companies that tend to work with smaller agencies and smaller people just like yourself, and the companies that have more than 200 employees, they usually tend to want to work with more established brands that have a lot of social proof, which is something that I assume you don't currently have right now since you're watching this video. But that is fine, because that is going to change very shortly, since after this video you're going to start getting some clients. So now that we have filled in all those filters, what we need to do is to simply come over here and take in this Apollo URL that we have in our web browser, make sure you copy all of it, and then you need to convert here to Ample Leads, where all you have to do is to convert here and start your free trial. Since if you sign up with a business email, they're going to give you 500 free lead credits, which basically means 500 free Apollo leads, so make sure you do that. And once you do that, you will be brought over in this interface over here. Now make sure you actually come over here in the Scrapers tab and you select the Apollo Scraper, which is here, and then you need to come over here in the Apollo search URL and simply paste in the Apollo URL you just copied, which includes all the filters that we added in over in our Apollo.io interface. Then you need to come over here and specify the number of leads that you want to scrape. Now for this example, I'm actually going to come over here and scrape 2000 leads. Obviously you can scrape more, you can scrape less, depending on how many available credits you have also. And just to give you a rough idea, 1 credit equals 1 lead. And if you come over here to buy credits, you will see that with $29, which is the pack that I'm on right now, you can basically get 11,000 credits, which is basically 11,000 leads, which comes out to $2.5 per 1,000 leads, which is pretty good since almost all the other Apollo scrapers charge double the price right now. That's why I would strongly advise you to use Ample Leads, since it's the most economical option on the market. So now we can come back over in our Apollo scraper over here, and let me paste in again the URL and tell it that I want to scrape 2000 leads. Then I simply need to name this file. Let's name it Consultants Leads, and then you simply have to come over here and click on Start Scraping. And what this is going to do is it is going to create a request just like the request you see over here that I actually did yesterday. And the reason I did that yesterday, before recording this video, is because you're not immediately going to get access to these leads, because Ample Leads needs some time in order for it to go and retrieve those leads. And as you can see over here to the top, it says that new requests are expected to be completed within 24 to 48 hours, which means that once you send this request, you're going to have to wait a day or two before you get access to all of these leads, which is a little bit annoying, especially if you compare it with a method that we were doing previously with Happify, where you got access to the leads immediately. But since Apollo.io changed their API, that is the best way possible, so there basically is nothing that we can do. So all we have to do is to wait 24 to 48 hours in order for us to get access to these leads. And boom, as you can see guys, this is a brand new day, and what do we have here? Our leads are successfully retrieved and we can access them from coming over here and simply clicking on the export button, and then we can select exactly how we want to download them. Do we want them in a Google Sheet or do we want a simple CSV? Now for this example, I actually want them in a Google Sheet so I can also take a look at them. So I will simply select that option, and boom, as you can see, all of our leads successfully populate over here, and they include a bunch of different information about them, specifically the first name, the last name, the company name, their title, their industry. And as you can see, if I scroll all the way down here, we can see that we literally have thousands of them, which is exactly what we wanted. So now all we have to do is to simply come over here, click on File, come over here and select Download, and then come over here and download them as a CSV. And now it's probably the most important part of the video, which is writing the copy of your emails. So what I'm actually going to do is I will go over in my Skool community, for which the link you can find at the top link in the description below, navigate over to the classroom and go over here in my cold email course, and then I will open all the email templates that I have inside the community. Then I will basically copy them. I will come back over to Instantly and paste them in over here. Let me just fix up the way this looks a bit. And now we can go over this first message, just so you understand my thought process behind it. First, I obviously say hi. Here I have the person's name, so the email looks customized and that it was sent specifically for them. Then I identify myself. I say my name is Damian. You will obviously input your own name over here. And then I say I build the AI system for and the niche that I'm targeting, which is consultants in our case, that automate repetitive tasks that they do every day. So with this first line, I basically am answering the question, who am I and why I'm emailing them. Then I give them some examples. I say lead qualification systems. They can be text and phone calls and client follow-up messages. And then what I do is I give some social proof, because I say, for example, a consultant I recently worked with automated the lead text follow-up messages, and as a result, they save around 15 hours every week. So specifically tell them that a previous consultant that I worked with got from working with me, which is to save 15 hours every week that they were spending on following up with leads manually. So I'm basically giving some social proof over here, and I'm also telling them the benefit that they're going to get by working with me, which is saving 15 hours every week. And then I'm answering the question, why am I emailing them? I'm saying I'm emailing you because I'm certain that I can deliver similar results for. And then over here in the personalization, as you remember, we have the person's company name. So again, they think that this email was personally sent over to them and not in a mass email campaign. And then I say, if you would like to take me up on that offer, reply as well. And then what we need to do is basically tell them our offer. Now you have two options over here. You could offer them a very small free automation just so you get the ball rolling with that client, and you're going to find that if you actually build them a very small automation, for example, you could build them like a client follow-up message, and which realistically you could build like in 3 hours or so, and then once they see the value that this small system provides, then you could upsell them to a way bigger project like a lead qualification system, for example, which you could build it through text, or even you could build voice agents, which is more than likely going to be like a $5,000 plus project. So you could go by offering a very small project completely for free, which if you're a beginner, I would honestly say that this is the way to go. Just offer something for free, make it like a no-brainer for them to say yes, and then once they say yes and they see that the value you can provide, then you can upsell them to an actual way higher ticket price. And guys, do not be afraid of doing free work at the start. You will see, especially if you're working with people that actually do have money to spend, which the people that we're targeting do, if you do free work, you will be compensated for it one way or another if you actually deliver results. You will be able to upsell them and they will look at you as a person that's first trying to give value and not take, since almost all the people in their inbox are actually trying to take something from them. They're like, oh, I'm selling the system for 5K immediately. Of course, the person is not going to reply to you, but if you tell them, hey, I will literally build you something completely for free, they're way more likely to reply because they're like, oh, this is a no-brainer. I have nothing to lose. Let me just give this a shot. So this is the first option, and the second option is to make them an offer without you obviously specifying the price, but just telling them I can build your system like this in 2 weeks and I offer a 100% satisfaction guarantee, which is also a pretty decent offer because that means they will either be 100% satisfied or they're not going to have to pay anything. But again, if you're a beginner, I would just advise you to go with a small free offer at first because you will see you're going to get way more people actually reply to your messages and be interested in systems like that since they literally have nothing to lose. It's completely free. So for that, I'm going to type and I want to do the first project completely for free just to show you the value that I can bring and make it a no-brainer for you. Again, you can either go with this option or with the second option that I told you before. And then I say, if you like to take me up on that offer, reply to this message so I can talk to you about the details. Best, and then I sign off with my name. Now, since I personally have some social proof because of big projects that I have done, I will actually choose to go with a paid method from the start, and this is what I'm going to type. I'll say I also give a 100% satisfaction guarantee, meaning you only pay if you're satisfied with the end result. If not, you don't pay anything, no hard feelings. And now we're basically done with the email copy of our first message. The only thing that we need to do is to come over here and fill in our subject line. Now for the subject line, I'm going to type something like this, so AI partnership, then the first name and then the location, so it looks again very personalized to that person since we input their name and also their location, which seems that we specifically wrote it for them. And now we're done with our first email sequence. Now what we need to do is to obviously add in some follow-up emails because the majority of the sales, guys, actually happens in the follow-up messages and not in the initial messages that are sent. And that is because a person might look at your email, say, oh, that sounds like a pretty interesting offer, but maybe they don't have the time to reply to it, or maybe they want to think about it a little bit till they reply. And obviously, after that, they completely forget about it since they have so many things to do in the day. That's why you need to send follow-up emails to basically remind them of your offer, because you will find that a lot of people are initially interested in it, but they just forget to respond when something happens. Then in your second and third follow-up message, they're going to respond and basically say, hey, I'm actually interested. How can we get started? So to do that, you simply have to come over here and click on add step, and let's make this second message to be sent after 3 days. And now what I'm going to do is I will again come over in my community, go over in my email templates folder and copy the first follow-up message that I have, which I did just right now, but I'm not going to show you the copy of the second follow-up and the third follow-up email that we're going to create right now because I have these templates exclusively inside my community and I need to respect the people that paid to get access to this information. So if you want to get access to these templates, along with a full system that guarantees you that you're going to get your first high-paying AI and automation customer, or you're going to get all of your money back guaranteed, make sure you click the top link in the description and you come and join my Skool community. So that is exactly what I did right now with the second and third message of my email sequence, and I put it to be sent 3 days after the previous one. Again, if you want to access the email templates, the link for them will be in the description below. And now that we have written all of our email sequences, it's time we go over in the schedule tab where we can select the dates and times we want our emails to be sent to. Now, personally, what I do is I basically send emails all throughout the week except Saturday, Sunday, and then I usually tend to do from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and then I will simply come over here, click on save, and then all that is left is to navigate over in the options button and configure the options of our campaign. Now the first thing you need to do is to obviously select all the email accounts you're going to use in this email campaign. I'm going to select all of mine over here. Now if you're wondering how you can get these email accounts and how you can set them up on instantly, I'll also show you how to do that inside my Skool community, which you can find in the description below. And then in the option to stop sending emails on reply, I'm going to leave this on enable. Then on open tracking, make sure you actually come over here and you enable this. And if you have a link in your copy, I actually enable link tracking as well. But since I don't really have one, I'm going to leave this disabled. Then for the daily limit, I would strongly advise you to make sure for each one of your email addresses, you send maximum 40 emails per day. And since I have 6 email addresses, I'm going to go slightly below the 40 emails per domain threshold. And I'm going to send 200 from all of the 6 email addresses. And then simply come over here and click on show advanced options. Then you can add in some custom tags in your campaign if you want. Then for the time gap between emails, I usually do a minimum of 9 minutes and I add in 5 random minutes as well. Then you also have the option to prioritize new leads. So if you enable this option, it's going to reach out to new leads over scheduled follow-ups. Now you will only be able to use this option if you're using Instantly's premium version, because if you're using the standard, you will not have access to this. But it is a feature that I really like and I always enable. Then you can also select what you're optimizing for. Since we're optimizing for reply rate, I will simply come over here and select this. Then you can also do provider matching. It always helps to enable this if you have multiple email addresses from different providers. And then the only other setting that I tend to configure is whether I'm allowing risky emails. I'm always allowing them since I just want to send out a bunch of volume and I don't really care that much about verification. And then all we have to do is to simply come over here and click on launch campaign. And now that we have launched our campaign, all we have to do is to sit back, relax, and wait a few days till we see some results. So we'll be back with you once we have some actual replies. And hello guys, this is a few days after we set our campaign live and we let it run for a bit. And as you can see, over here we do have a person that seems to be interested in our specific offer. As he says, I'm interested in the systems and he's open to getting more information. And just so you guys know, I actually talked with that person and I successfully managed to close him on a discovery call, since he wanted a LinkedIn outreach system that I'm going to build him in the near future. So that is exactly how you can get your first AI and automation customer. Now if you want more dedicated help and more in-depth courses, you can click the top link in my description and come and check out my paid Skool community, in which I personally help you get your first high-paying AI and automation customer in just 60 days, or you get all of your money back guaranteed. So if you want me to help you, as I have done with multiple other community members, make sure you click the top link in my description and you come and join my AI SaaS Builders community. And I will be waiting to help you inside. But also YouTube things, you're going to enjoy this video, in which I show you why you shouldn't actually sell any automations, but you should sell full custom apps. So make sure you also go and watch that next. And I will see you over there.